Hi, welcome to ADI Technical Training. I'm Matthew. Today I'm in our technical lab at our UK hub in Chadderton, Manchester. Okay, let's get started.
In this video, we're going to talk about the types of system architecture. In the previous video, we discussed the readers you could have, keypads, proximity, MyFair, or biometrics. Next, we need to discuss how they are controlled, how they're controlled at the door. So in the first instance, you have what's called a standalone system. A standalone system is just that, it's on its own, it has no controller, all the decisions are made at the reader itself. So whether that's a keypad, whether that's a MagSwipe reader, or a proximity MyFair reader, or whether that's a biometric reader. If it's standalone, all the decisions are made at the reader head, so all the connections, the power, the locking output, the exit button inputs, they all come to that particular door, to that reader at the door. From the point of view of security, it's not very secure. Uh, if somebody is determined to get in through that door and they have the correct skills, they can take the reader off the wall and simply bypass it. It's very simple to do, actually. So evolving onto that is what's called a secure system. Now, a secure system is much, in operation wise, it's much like a standalone. You know, you come to the reader, present your credential, put your code in, present your face, whatever, and it unlocks the door. The difference is, though, the control and the management is remote from the reader head itself. The reader head is just an information terminal. It just passes the information to the controller, and the controller controls whether it's going to unlock the door or not. And typically the controller is put on the secure side of the door, it's put on the inside of the room that's controlling the door. That means if somebody is trying to bypass it, they have to be in the room itself. Secure systems are typically used on external doors, or they're used on doors where a higher level of security is needed. On a standalone system, maybe internal doors, maybe a storeroom, where high security isn't needed, they're ideal. When on an external door where you're trying to prevent entry by burglars or things like that, the secure system is a better way of doing that. Now, both secure and standalone, they both work in the same fashion in that they are separate systems on their own. When you need to add and delete cards, codes, fingerprints, face prints, whatever, you have to go to that particular terminal, that controller or that reader, and add or delete people. If you have a small office or maybe domestic on a gate or something like that, having to go to the controller or the reader and add and delete people isn't that inconvenient, and perhaps you wouldn't do it that often. But if you have many doors, or in fact you're not even on the same site as that door, and you need to add people quickly and remove them quickly, maybe if you got a remote site, like you manage many blocks of flats, apartments or HMOs, where you need to add new tenants quickly, or maybe you've got a large office complex or a large commercial complex or infrastructures like large buildings like hospitals or anything like that, where you have multiple doors, where you have in excess of maybe 3 or 4 doors, where you need to send a command instantly to allow somebody in or deny access, or in fact maybe do something like lockdown where you lock all the doors instantly. Then in that case you need something with a central management system, and they're called PC control systems. Perhaps now we do more PC control systems than we do than secure systems, because people want to be able to control the doors remotely, whether it's through an app, whether it's through a laptop or a PC, or whether it's cloud-based. They want to manage that system quickly. So that's where the PC-based system comes in, because with a PC-based system, typically they are secure systems where the controller is remote from the reader head, and typically all these doors are connected together to the same database where you can add and delete people quickly. You can create time zones, and what a time zone does is creates a sector in the day when certain people can or can't get in a door. So that would be great for a facility maybe in a school where you want to allow teachers through a door between 7 and 4 p.m. but you don't want to let the students in. Maybe the students have cards too to get in through the front door, but they're not allowed in they're not allowed in before 8:30 till 3:30, for example. So you'd have a time zone. You'd have one time zone for the staff to get in between 7 and 4, another time zone for the students, which would be 8:30 till 3 o'clock, 3:30, and then maybe a management time zone or a cleaner's time zone who are allowed in 24 hours. So on that one particular door you could have 3 time zones. And that's the main differences really between a standalone system, a secure system, and a PC-based system. With a PC-based system, you have more control. You have quicker responses to problems where you can add and delete people a lot quickly. Obviously, there's a higher cost, so then it depends on the cost for the application. Do you need a high security application? Maybe not. Will you be changing the codes or the cards that often? Maybe not. Then a standalone or a secure system will be ideal. Is it going on the front door of a building where security is a bit more important? If it is, you would want a secure system or a PC-based system, and the differences between them is the amount of users that are on that door. If it's on the front door to a block of flats, for instance, and it's tenants' flats where they're renting, so you might have a high turnover of people coming and going, visitors and what have you, who are issuing temporary cards. So in that case, you would consider maybe a PC base would be ideal. If it's a resident-owned block of flats or apartments, then perhaps a standalone system would be fine because turnover of tenants isn't that high. Let's have a look at the terminology I used in the video. First of all, time zones. So that's the sector of the day when people are not allowed to certain doors, or they are allowed through certain doors. So in the example I just gave, at a school facility where it's a single door, and at the top you have management, cleaning staff, they're allowed in all the time. Coming down to a certain sector of the day would be the teachers, they're allowed in through that same door. I think they said between 7 and 4, so they can get in, and the students aren't allowed in. And then the students get in between 8:30 and 3 o'clock a school day, and they're all coming through the same door, but they're only allowed in through at certain times. That would be a time zone. Next would be an access level. An access level is where you have multiple doors. So perhaps on an example of a school, maybe you have 5 or 6 doors. You have the front door, which would be access for everybody. That would be general access. You have maybe the staff room door, so only the staff are allowed in that door. And then you would have the head teacher's door, or the cleaning staff door, the management doors, and only the management are allowed in that door, only the cleaning staff are allowed in that door, and only the head teacher is allowed through that door. But in addition to that, the head teacher is allowed in through all doors, and the cleaner is allowed in through all doors. And that's what an access level is. What levels of access are people allowed to get into areas of the building? I briefly touched on lockdown. Lockdown used to be exclusive to schools, but now it's used in shopping centres and retail arenas, and it's also used in office blocks and places like that nowadays, unfortunately. And what a lockdown is a threat is received, whether it's a physical threat. It could also be a gas leak, for instance. It could be many things, but what it's designed to do is stop people getting in to the building and stop them getting out. It's to stop a risk of injury to people. So when a lockdown command is sent to a system, typically on an access control system, when it receives a lockdown, the readers will stop responding to accepting tags, and the exit buttons will stop responding to let people out of a door. So you can't open the door to get out, and you can't get in unless you've got an access level which overrides a lockdown. I mentioned PC based. So PC based is just that. It's a personal computer. It could be a laptop, it could be a server, But the database that has all the people's names, access levels, time zones, and maybe the personal information too, like the registration of the car, the phone number or the email address, it's all stored in a central database. The next one would be cloud-based. Now cloud-based is a buzzword, really. If you've been doing this as long as I have, you know what the database is stored on a server. Now what a cloud is a space where you can store that information, but you can access it from anywhere you like on an app. So on a secure system, on a PC-based system, the information is on the PC, and typically getting into that remotely could be difficult. You'd have to open ports on the router. You'd have to know the gateway information. You'd have to create a VPN, a virtual network, to get access. And in most cases, it's frowned upon because it open security, and it is a threat because people can browse into it and find out personal information. So you have a cloud-based system, and the cloud-based system is the database is remote. It's on a remote server somewhere, and you can access that database quickly and easily through a secure portal. That secure portal could be an app, or it could be just another computer, but instead of the computer looking on its local network or on its local drive for that database, it's remote instead. App controlled. Now app controlled shouldn't be mixed up with app access. App controlled is where you would have your terminal, your smartphone or your tablet, and you can add people quickly, you can delete people quickly, and in the event of emergency you can do what's called a roll call or a muster report. And that is if there is an emergency in the building or on the site, and the access control system receives a command from the fire alarm to unlock all the doors. You could run a muster report or an attendance report. You could see who came into the building and at what time, and are they still there perhaps if you have the right type of configuration. And that would be app controlled. App access is something else. You'd normally see BLE. And BLE, Bluetooth, is where you'd use your mobile phone as a credential. In further videos we discuss credentials and their use.
Thanks very much for watching. All the products mentioned in this training video can be found on our website. Links are below. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks very much.